Welcome to Proven and Probable, where we focus on metals, mining, and more. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Today, we will discuss a company that has established itself as a premier project generator. I'm speaking of Millrock Resources, trading on the TSXV, symbol MRO, and on the OTCQX, symbol MLRKF. Joining us today is the President, CEO, and Director of Millrock Resources, Gregory Beischer. Before we begin, allow me to convey to our listeners that Millrock Resources is a sponsor of Proven and Probable, and we are proud shareholders of Millrock Resources for the virtues we will convey in today's message. Mr. Beischer, welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning, Maurice. Good to talk to you again.
You have some exciting news for shareholders and prospective shareholders out of Alaska. Gregory, what can you share with us regarding your joint venture partner, Kinross, and the Liberty Bell project?
Yep, well, it is exciting to get out in the field again. You know, the last several years have been years of relatively low exploration activity for Millrock, so it's great to have a big team together again. We've hired a number of geology students and recent graduate geologists, and they're being led by a young woman, Verena Zino. She's perhaps 35 years old and firmly in control of the crew. And they're out at Liberty Bell collecting soil samples all across our very large claim block there. Probably several 3,000 to 4,000 samples will be collected on a grid pattern. And you know, at Liberty Bell, there's a known deposit of gold that's being drilled. It's a historic resource of a couple of 100,000 ounces. Some nice, thick, high-grade drill intersections are known. And there's been a lot of good work done at Liberty Bell over the decades. But we like to take a very systematic approach. So we're sampling right from one claim boundary to the other, and using you know, some more advanced methods in terms of analysis of the samples we're collecting to try and see through some of the thicker overburden that exists on the hilltops. It's a bit of a strange situation where we have thick gravels on top of the hills, and this masks the bedrock underneath. And we think there could be definitely more deposits hiding beneath that thick cover.
Now, is the geology and the setting at Liberty Bell similar to the Tetlin Project?
Yes, we think it's identical. The other analog would be the Fortitude mine in Nevada. This is the type of deposit is called a distal pyrrhotite gold skarn. So fluids emanating from a granitic intrusion pass through country rock above, and if they intersect or flow into limestone or lime-rich beds, a wholesale replacement takes place. And so the limestone in this case is replaced by the sulfide mineral pyrrhotite and with gold. And so Tetlin is a new discovery in Alaska being developed by Contango Ore and Royal Gold. They're expanding the number of ounces, the resource in the ground quite rapidly, and we think we have a very, very similar deposit and situation in which we might find a much more substantial gold deposit as well. So we're pursuing it aggressively. Kinross liked the idea when we presented it to them earlier this year, and they're funding the work.
Now, Gregory, for someone who's looking at the map here of Liberty Bell, how far is it from Fairbanks?
Oh, it's less than a couple of 100 kilometers, really. And, you know, it's very good logistically. You can drive right onto the claim block. And in fact, the camp that we're at is right underneath a rather large wind turbine farm that's operated by the state. So their electricity generated right on the claim block and passes through from the nearby clean coal plant at Healy to the south. Often in Alaska, we're faced with using helicopters to access our exploration sites. And of course, the costs really add up when you're using a helicopter. But in this case, we can drive by a truck and a all-terrain vehicle all over the property. So it's a very inexpensive exploration, relatively speaking.
And for our listeners, I just interviewed Rick Rule of Sprott Global Resource Investments, who is the name in the natural resource space. And in the interview, he discussed the merits of owning prospect generators and the deep value propositions they present. And conversely, Sprott Global has again hand-selected Millrock Resources to be an exhibitor at the Sprott Natural Resource Symposium, which will be held on the 25th through the 28th of July in Vancouver, British Columbia. Gregory, what type of message does that convey to current and prospective shareholders when Rick Rule makes a statement like that?
Well, it's first of all a real honor to be invited yet again to this conference that Rick Rule puts on, and I know that Mr. Rule and his circle of friends at Sprott Global collectively are Millrock's largest shareholders by far. So he has good confidence in us, and I think we've often said our goal is to become the premier project generator, and at least if we're not the premier one, we're very well esteemed. So I think the value proposition for generators is that we're able to explore in a sustained fashion, in a systematic fashion, much more than the usual junior company. For most junior companies, the pressure's on from their shareholders to immediately get great drill results. So the quick return. The reality is that just doesn't happen often enough to bet on those kind of companies. I think if you put your money with us, we're going to do our very best over time doing that systematic exploration that ultimately results in discoveries. I think the odds are higher that companies like Millrock and other generators will make discoveries before other companies.
And Gregory, before we leave today's conversation, what did I forget to ask?
Well, I should have been more ready on this one, Maurice, but there's two things. As you know, Millrock is operating in British Columbia. We've just vended two of our projects to take a large equity stake in a new up-and-coming company called Sojourn Ventures. And I'm personally helping that company to make sure it succeeds, since Millrock and its shareholders have a vested interest. And things are really ramping up for us in Mexico. We've added more projects. We're going to be adding even more with our strategic partner, Centerra Gold. It's really hot in northern Mexico right now. So our crews are struggling to get the surface surveys done, though, because we anticipate that we'll have money to drill later in the fall. So, we'll also be drilling in Alaska probably in August. So from here on out, there's going to be a drill turning on a Millrock project somewhere for the rest of the year, and I suspect, for most of 2018. And so again, that's what makes generators different than the regular junior companies, in that we can afford to operate multiple exploration projects at any one time because we're not always selling shares to raise the money. We're getting funds incoming from our partner mining companies.
And Gregory, if someone listening wants to get more information regarding Millrock Resources, please give us the contact details.
Oh, sure. You can go on our website, millrockresources.com, and get the contact information. It'd be best to call Melanie Henderson at our Vancouver office first, and then if anyone wishes to speak directly to me, she'll get us together.
And last but not least, please visit our website, www.provenandprobable.com, where we interview the most respected names in the natural resource space. You may reach us at contact@provenandprobable.com. Gregory Beischer of Millrock Resources, thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable.
Thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable. Remember to like and subscribe for more conversations with the most respected names in the natural resource space. Check out our website at www.provenandprobable.com. The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.